Hello there everyone and welcome to episode 2 of the Cordcast, where I talk about albums and EPs that I didn't get to review formerly or simply slipped past me. Thank you for your support on episode 1, it really means a lot to me and I hope you stick with me for the future. Before we get into the projects I have in store today, let's get into what I reviewed last week. New York legend Nas dropped a sequel to his Grammy-winning album King's Disease. Kristen Hayter makes a quick return to the lingua ignota name for her epic Sinner Get Ready. R&B singer Tinashe takes an experimental turn with her newest release, 333. Alabama artist Pink Seafood drops his third album, Gumbo. And underground rap duo Abstract Mindstate stage a comeback 20 years after their last project with the backing of an upcoming producer named Kanye West, titled Dreams Still Inspire. As always, you can find all these reviews and many more in the link in the description. This time around, we have 15 projects to get through, so let's not waste any more time. First up is Iggy Azalea's new album, The End of an Era. It's honestly pretty rough seeing where Iggy Azalea is at right now. And with The End of an Era supposedly being her last album for a while, she'd want to go out with a bang, right? Well, I'm sad to report that this thing is simply not that good. I'm even sadder to report that I was fully expecting this. Whether it's just the annoying production choices or the lack of general chemistry between Iggy and the beat, the creative choices on here are a little baffling to me. I'm pretty sure that this is going to have an audience, and that's cool. I'm not going to stop anyone from listening to the music they want to listen to. But simply put, this just isn't in my wheelhouse. Next is Project X from Ken Carson. If you don't know, Ken Carson is an Atlanta rapper who is the first artist signed to Playboi Carti's new label, Opium. Project X is his first full-length album, and I think it's pretty good. I think the Carti and Ken Carson duo is gonna be the new Young Thug and Gunna duo with how much Carson is drenched in Carti's signature sound. Carson certainly has room to grow as an artist, but I don't really think he has to do that. Mainly because he's already in his bag with this sound. He's certainly on my radar now, and I'm probably going to listen to whatever he drops. The next project on the list is Lorna Shore's new EP, and I Return to Nothingness. Lorna Shore is a death metal / deathcore group from New Jersey, and I'm pretty aware that deathcore is a tough genre to get into, and oddly enough, this is my first time listening to a full deathcore project. I'll say fully that this is a pretty well executed EP, and the band members sound really good, but this really just isn't a genre for me. It's extremely heavy, and if this were a full-length album instead of an EP, I probably wouldn't even be covering it right now. But hey, for fans of deathcore and death metal, you got a cool project on your hands here. Now we have Blackbear's newest release, Misery Lake. Look, if you've read my reviews, you know my history with this guy. His last album is the only one to have the esteemed Ain't It Chief rating at the time of this recording, so this one isn't that much different. Misery Lake is just bland and every single synonym of the word bland. Along with that, it's really hard to take this heartbroken man persona seriously because outside of the music, he is a happily married father. I'm glad he's living his life. I'm glad he's doing what he wants to do and he's famous off of it. But this is probably going to be the last time I cover Blackbear because I seriously do not care anymore. Next is God Goku Jayz from J.U.S. J.U.S. is a Detroit rapper signed to Danny Brown's Bruiser Brigade label, and this is his very first project release, outside of albums and EPs. This is just his first project overall. And I think this is a pretty good abstract rap album, and it has some good features across the board, especially from Danny Brown. J.U.S. sounds really great over black noise production, and there's a good amount of that on this. And I would really love to hear an entire album of that. So, Danny, if you hear this, get this going, and I hope the two of them will get involved with it. This album has me hooked in a way that most debut albums don't tend to do, and I seriously can't wait to see what else J.U.S has in store. This is awesome. Now it's time for Van Gogh's Left Ear by Zelooperz. Zloopers is a Detroit rapper and is also a part of the Bruiser Brigade label. This is his 7th album overall, and this was a pretty fun album. There are many artists trying to be in this abstract rap sound, but honestly, Zloopers rocks this sound insanely well. There are points on here that he just sounds like if Young Thug made an abstract rap album. Now I just want to hear Young Thug actually do that. Plus, any song that samples the Crash Bandicoot theme is instantly one of the best beats of the year. This album may not be for everyone, but there's so much talent shown here, it's insane. I'm kicking myself so much because I'm finding about Zelooperz now. I gotta go back and listen to his other shit now. Next up is Femdorm, the new album from Girlfriend of the Year. Honestly, I think this is going to be overlooked in the grand scheme of music in 2021, so that's really why I'm covering it now. Girlfriend of the Year is a staple in the hyperpop genre right now, and I've actually heard all of her past projects. I think this new album here is a good blend of all of her past albums and EPs. For better or for worse, I can't really imagine anyone outside of Girlfriend of the Year making this album. I think mainly the production shines the brightest here. I think it's really unique to Girlfriend of the Year, especially in a unique genre as hyperpop. While it may not be the best album in this genre, it plays to her strengths in ways that I can't ignore. Next, we have Ba Ba Black Sheep from Rejjie Snow. Reggie Snow is a Dublin rapper that I hadn't heard of until this point at all. And the biggest eye grabber of this album is that there is an MF Doom feature. Outside of that, though, this is some good jazz rap and neo-soul, and even if it isn't the most original album I've heard in this style, I can't deny that Snow is a very charming lyricist. I thought of No Name quite a bit when I was listening to this, but that's not a bad thing at all. This is just a fun little project, and I'm definitely going to keep an eye on him. Also, I swear I've heard the beat from Shooting Stars from one of the Mario Kart games. I just gotta figure out which one. Now it's time for Prince's new posthumous release, Welcome to America. It's been over 5 years since we lost the legendary singer and guitarist, but this is the first posthumous album of his that's entirely new material. This is actually an album he made in the early 2010s that he just decided not to release. I can put the pieces together on why he didn't want to release this. In the past, for his past posthumous releases, it was enjoyable to see his demos and new versions of his best and most iconic songs, but this album just feels really bland compared to his final albums, and especially compared to his best releases. This one should have stayed in the vault. Next on the list is Anne-Marie's new album, Therapy. Anne-Marie is a British singer-songwriter who's mainly written some big songs of the 2010s, mainly known for her work with Marshmello and Demi Lovato. If I'm being totally honest, I'm pretty bummed about this album. This had all the potential in the world to be great and a massive hit, but she just plays it way too safe on here. It really seems like she's trying to be the new Ed Sheeran when he's out ripping off The Weeknd, but it just doesn't sound the same. This just seems incredibly generic, and it felt like a void to listen to. It's obviously going to have an audience, but come on, she can do better than this. Next up is Jaden's debut album, Tell Me About Tomorrow. Okay, hold on, I gotta get my script for this one, had to research this. Okay. Jaden is a TikTok star and former member of the Sway House, a currently defunct and very masculine house where TikTok stars lived in a reality show or something. Good God, that was tough to get through. When it comes to the music, Jaden brought Travis Barker with him, and that came with the extra baggage of Machine Gun Kelly and Ian Dior. I don't have to tell you that this thing is just bloated and annoying as all hell. You guys remember when Machine Gun Kelly went full pop punk last year? Imagine that, but going horribly wrong. That's this album. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's just move to the next one. Now we have Harmonizer, the new surprise album from Ty Segall. Ty Segall is a California artist that's been putting out music in bands along with his solo work since 2005, and out of all of his solo work, this is his 15th outing. This album seems pretty passionate for his work, but since I've heard most of his other albums, it's pretty sad to say that this is just another Ty Segall album. I personally love it when he's pushing the boundaries of music. And don't get me wrong, I like this album, but this just doesn't hit as hard as it seems like it does. Was just hoping for something more. Next up is Jungle's new album, Loving in Stereo. British electronic producers Josh Lloyd Watson and Tom McFarland put out their third album under the Jungle name, and it's fine, I guess. It has nice sounds, it's got a cool sound palette, and they certainly know how to make music. It has a pretty nice feature from Boz to back it up, but I feel like this could have been much better if this came out earlier in the summer. It's a very summery album, and it simply just poor timing that did it in. That's not going to be a big hit. It's not a bad thing, though. I mean, numbers aren't everything in the music world, but it could have been more successful if just put out at the right time. Next is Mariah the Scientist's new album, Rejjie World. Mariah is an Atlanta singer that I first heard of on one of Trippie Redd's albums, actually escaping me on what this album is. And this is the first time I'm hearing a full-length project from her. Like the title says, we're pulled into Mariah's world on this album. There are actually great samples from bands like Beach House and Ariel Pink in the production, but her storytelling is what stood out to me the most here. Also, she had said that she got most of these beats off of YouTube, and because of the excessive amounts of tight beats on this platform that I'm currently speaking on right now, she's got a great sense of curation. She may not be a fully developed artist yet, but I'm all for that seeing happen. I'm ready to see that happen. The last album we have is a collaboration between Dave East and Harry Fraud, Hoffa. Westside Gunn is in the executive producer chair on this, when New York rapper Dave East teams up with prolific producer Harry Fraud for his third album. And honestly, this is just okay. I've never been a giant fan of Dave East as a rapper, but I do think Harry Fraud and Westside Gunn curate a good lineup of beats for him to sound best on. At times, I do think Dave sounds too much like the Lox and bites off of them a little bit, but it didn't affect my opinion on the album. This could have been better to me, but I still think it's worth checking out simply for the production alone. And that finishes up this week's episode of the Cordcast. Before I go, let's preview what's up next for written reviews. It's a shorter week this time around since I'm a little more busy, but there's still some good stuff. We have new projects from Boldy James and the Alchemist, Benny the Butcher, The Killers, and Suicide Boys. Well, that's going to end this episode. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with the daily content about music and sometimes movies, and like the video if you liked the video. Thank you for your support, once again, and have a good one.